Hey guys, Alex here. Welcome back to my channel, a channel about real estate, personal finance, and business. Today is very special because I will be interviewing a very special guest. She's a close friend of mine. We grew up together. She is also my business partner for two businesses. And she is also the co-founder of Brooky Technologies. Please help me welcome Stephanie Uy.
Hi, hello everyone. Hi Alex, thank you so much for having me today in your vlog. So what are we going to talk about today?
Hi, welcome to the vlog. And thank you so much for being here. I know you're so busy with all your businesses,
Oh
with
wow.
Brookie and with real estate. So I just wanted to invite you because I usually invite entrepreneurs who are making waves in the industry that they are in so that we can all, learn from you guys, learn from your experiences. So I wanted to share that with the viewers and the netizens out there who also want to do the same things that you're already doing. So my first question is, what is Brookie? So share sa nato kung unsa si Brookie.
Okay. So Brookie is actually a property technology company. So we are in the business of automating real estate. So our clients are the real estate developers, and what we do is we help them automate their workflows, and we also provide mobile and web applications for them so that it will be a lot easier for them to transition to the digital age. So especially now with the COVID-19 pandemic going on, and our real estate developers are finding it relevant for them to start moving to the digital age. So that's what we do for them.
Okay, so how did Brookie start? Where did it all begin?
It all began with my frustrations as a broker. And it just so happened that my fiance at the time was also in, shall we say, the startup world. He was in the startup community, and I knew that if I told him my problems with regards to what I was experiencing, then perhaps we could come up with a solution. So it really just started from a frustration. It started with a problem, and I figured, hey, I think we can do something about this, and that's where it all began. It just snowballed from there.
So coming from the real estate industry, were you always interested in launching a tech startup?
Oh my gosh, actually,
Or
people
did it come as an accident?
and in a way, for people who really know me, they would know that I'm not a tech person at all. Like, I'm really not techie at all. But I guess the thing about me is that when I have ideas, there are times when I really just want to act upon those ideas, especially when I feel like there's a big future that can come out from it. So it just started from there. And now I'm a startup founder, and I keep telling
Yes,
people that
congratulations for being a
probably,
startup founder.
I'm probably one of the most low tech startup founders there is. But what I can bring to the business, of course, is my expertise, my industry, being in the industry, domain expertise. Yeah, that's what they call it, domain expertise.
Okay. So tell me about Idea Space because you joined Idea Space a few years back as Brookie. So what is Idea Space for those who don't really know what it is yet?
Yeah, so I think the best description that I can give for Idea Space, it's it's the sandbox of the Philippines.
It's the sandbox of the Philippines. So for
It
those who
is.
watch Startup,
Yeah.
Idea Space is the sandbox of the Philippines. So it's a national thing, a
Yeah,
national
it is.
organization.
So sandbox, sorry, Idea Space is a tech accelerator. So what they do is that they support early stage startups. So they give the startups mentorship, they give the startups funding, and they really help the startups come up with their business models, with revising their MVP or minimum viable product, just to make sure that the startups are in a better place to launch their product, and they have guidance, they know what they're doing. So I think the K-drama startup was actually it's a very nice drama in a way because I
And
think
you
it
were
helped
able to
open
relate
the
to it.
eyes. Yeah, I think it helped open the eyes of the people who are watching. Oh, that's what the startup world is like. So it was
Yes,
a
because
very relate ako sa
mhm,
startup.
relate
Yeah, so
even the
yeah,
love story.
even the love story. Hindi naman. Wala akong love triangle. I just have my dosan.
But it's very similar in a way that your husband is also your business partner, just like in the story startup.
Yeah, tama. That's right. So my husband is also a co-founder of Brookie Technologies as well. And a fun fact, I think, is that I think in startups, parang it's not so encouraged yung husband and wife tandem kasi
Yes,
parang medyo
I was gonna
mahirap.
ask you about that.
Mm.
How do you find working with your husband? Like, do you
They
get into disagreements with regards to how to handle Brookie? Or, for example, if you have personal disagreements, does it spill over into Brookie?
Well,
So, how do you handle it?
thankfully naman, we don't really have a lot of personal disagreements. Well, of course, when it comes to husband and wives, meron naman talagang times when you don't agree with each other. But the thing with us, I guess, is we're able to talk it over. We're able to process the disagreements, and then we're able to come up with a solution. So it's not it wasn't too difficult for us, thankfully. So that's what a lot of people are saying. Oh, it must be hard to be in a startup with your husband because if you have personal problems at home, it's gonna spill over. Thankfully for us, it's not really like that. So
But you mentioned in the startup industry that it's not encouraged. So, have you heard of other startup founders that had a startup and they were married, and then the startup did not really progress because there was a married couple in the team?
I've heard of stories from the other founders, but I didn't know them personally. So I think it's just sort of a normal thing lang siguro. For husband and wives, maybe they have some disagreements, and especially if maybe they have some problems at home and then it spills over in the business, so it might be difficult. But I really think that being in a startup as a husband and wife, I think it's a great thing. As long as you get along well with your partner, it's like having, your husband and your wife as your business partner. I think there's a lot of great advantages to that because you can have more synergy, you can be able to talk with each other more openly, you can also discuss more ideas more openly. So there's a pros and cons, and I think it starts with having a great relationship with your partner. And if you have that I think that goes for all of the business partners actually, whether they're your husband or not.
Yes, I
Yeah,
agree
great
because my
relationship.
husband is also my business partner. And although there are pros and cons to having your spouse as your business partner, I believe that there are more pros, or at least that's what we are experiencing right now. There are more pros than cons. So I enjoy having my husband as my business partner because, like what you said, there's synergy. Like if you're a couple and then you're doing something together as a team, you can really go farther than if you're doing it alone, like on your own individually. So I prefer it that way. Now my husband is my business partner.
Mm.
Okay, so what is your advice for startups out there who want to join Idea Space? Like, how can they do it? Like, in a nutshell, lang, very quickly. How can you
Hmm.
join Idea Space?
Well, of course, you need to have a great idea as long as there are people who need what you're offering. If I may rephrase that, probably it's like you start with making sure that the idea that you have is something that people need. Because maybe you might think that you have a great idea, but if nobody needs it, if nobody will buy it, or there's no need for it, then voila, the idea is useless, right? So you need to have an idea that people need, and you also need to have a good team along with you. It's possible to join as a single, like if you're just one founder, but you'd be a lot stronger if you have a good team with you. And something that I've noticed with Idea Space is that they're really particular about the people. So by the people, I mean you need to have integrity, you need to be able to get along well with other teammates, you need to have, as long as they're particular about the personality of their founders. So something that I've heard from Idea Space is what they've learned through the many years they've been as an accelerator is that they would rather choose a great team rather than a great idea with a not so good team.
Okay. So they have a screening process for joining. Like, how do you apply? Like, you send an application online, and then there's like a screening process where you pitch your idea, and they will choose which teams can actually get in the program.
Yes, so there are stages to the application. The first stage is the application form. So they have an application form, you fill that out, you send it to them. And if you pass that first round, they're going to ask you for a video pitch of your idea. So if you remember Dawson, when he was taking a video.
Dawson and his video pitch. That was so terrible.
So you're gonna do a video pitch, but not like Dawson. You're gonna pitch your idea, a 2-minute pitch, and then that's the second round. If you pass that, they're going to have an interview with you. So before they were the ones who came to Cagayan de Oro, and they interviewed teams not just from here in CDO but also in Ligan and Davao. So thankful it wasn't CDOs, it wasn't so hard for us. And if you pass that, then you move on to the pre-acceleration phase. So pre-acceleration phase, this happens in Manila. You guys get to go to Manila. Idea Space will take care of your airfare. They will take care of your accommodation, and that is a 6-week process. We're going to have a boot camp, and within that 6 weeks, they're going to evaluate the progress that you've had in your startup. And that's where they will choose the top startups that will officially be part of the program.
So what is the prize for the top 5? Or was it top 5?
The prize is, as when you pass the pre-acceleration phase, if we were part of the top 17 startups, then you get to have a grant. So it depends on the program for the year as to how much that grant will be, and then you will have the acceleration phase for I think 6 months, and then you get to proceed to demo day. So yes, we also had demo day.
Demo day.
I was
very startup.
Yeah,
so you were the one who did the pitching.
Yeah, very Dalmi. Yeah, I was the one who did the pitch. And from top 17, there were only 12 startups who were able to move on to demo days. So there are still some startups who are deferred to next year if the Idea Space team feel like they haven't, maybe reached a certain progress that they needed.
And but in case you don't get in initially, can you join again? Like, it's unlimited.
I think it's possible to join again. And then the top 3 startups, they get to have 1 million pesos in funding.
Okay, so how far was able? There's equity. So funding with equity.
Yeah, with equity for Idea Space, yes.
So how far was Brookie able to go?
We were part of the top 12 who were able to do the demo day. We were able to participate in demo day. We didn't get into the top 3, but that's fine because we're officially part of the alumni now of Idea Space. As long as you are able to pass the pre-acceleration phase and you're able to proceed to demo day, you're officially an alumni of Idea Space.
Wow, congrats! So how is the startup community here in Cagayan de Oro? Because I know some people who also have startups, and the usual challenge is that they find it a bit challenging to also support themselves while the startup is still not earning. So how do you balance that out? Like, how do you work on a startup, make it successful, but at the same time be still able to earn income to support yourself? Like, what's your advice for those who are planning to do startups regarding that, or who already have startups and are having are finding it a bit challenging?
Walang tulog. Just kidding. Just kidding. But it's a lot of hard work. Yeah, it is a lot of hard work. So if you're planning to set up a startup and you're also doing something else on the side to support yourself, you can imagine that you're doing two things at the same time. So it really is hard work, and that's the reality of being a startup founder. It's not all glamorous, it's not all being famous or something, but it's a lot of hard work. So you got to put that hard work in, and you have to be able to balance your time, that you also have a way to support yourself while you are starting out, because the reality is you're not going to get any money um, within the first year that you're working on your startup. You're probably not going to be able to pay yourself a salary just yet. So uh, it's just like if you're still working in corporate and you want to start a business, and you start with a side hustle. So it's probably sort of something like that.
So how were you able to balance it, like for you?
How was I able to balance it?
And how long did it take for Brookie to earn?
All right. So
Like
I
to
think
find clients, to have an income na?
I think the great thing about us, about Brookie, is that we're a lean team, but at the same time, even when we started, we were able to cover the expenses of the startup. We bootstrapped the whole thing. So bootstrap is a usual term that's being used in the startup community wherein you don't have any investments, um, and we were able to support the way we started, because from our very early MVP, we already we were already able to get a client from that. So that's probably the best thing that could happen for a startup, if your minimum viable product can already have a customer who can pay for your initial development, who can already pay for just getting yourself off the ground and establishing that traction for you to gain more clients. So as we gained more clients, we were able to grow our team slowly. So we were a lean but efficient team. That's what I would say. Yeah. But of
Okay, so
course,
advice
initially
for
we
startups
did
out
not
there.
give salary to ourselves. So no salary for yourself talaga at the start.
When were you able to do this? The
Okay.
salary.
So we prioritized hiring more devs first, and when we had a better profitability, we had excess na, we were able to start giving salaries, but not to everyone. Like, we would choose which particular startup founder had the most skin in the game or the most effort, and we'd pay that person first, and then we would have a hierarchy. Okay, you go next, and then you go next. So something like that. So
Okay.
yeah, a bit of sacrifice, of course, but that's how it is. I think that's a given. Hmm.
Okay, so that's your advice for those who want to do startups out there. So start with a small team so that your costs will be as low as it can possibly be.
Yeah. So yeah, I think so. The strong thing also about us is that we have strong technical co-founders. So Elra and I were both not tech people. Like, we don't do programming or coding. And instead of hiring developers to create the product that we wanted, we looked for tech co-founders who had the knowledge already, who had the capability to execute. And it's a good thing that Elroy had friends in the startup community, and he was able to identify that, oh, I think these guys would be able to work well with us because they have the technical know-how of what we want to achieve. So we approached those guys. That would be John and Chris Fiel of Wella School. So
Hi, John and Chris.
hi, John and Chris. And we pitched to them. So we pitched the idea to them, and then when they heard it, they were thinking, yeah, I think there's a future to that, and they agreed to be our tech co-founders, and that's how Brookie officially started. Mm.
Yay, go Brookie.
Oh, and also initially our tech people were interns. They were interns. So if you can get interns, that's a really good thing.
Okay, so your
Yeah.
costs were really low
Mm.
and you were able to get a client almost immediately. So
Yeah,
that's
we
what
did.
happened with Brookie.
Yeah, and then after that we got into idea space. We got the grant, so that helped. That really helped.
So you also joined a reality TV show, The
Mm.
Final Pitch.
Yeah.
Artista si Elroy, si
Yeah,
Steph.
artista. Uy,
I
dili na yun
really watched
mag-artista.
you. I really watched you on TV.
Di yun na isa yun mag-artista. There's a lot of takes that goes on behind the scenes.
Yes, it's not like when you do an interview like this na free-flowing siya. I also experienced the same thing with Maghikay Ta Mindanao because I host a food show now. So
Artista gahapon.
artista gahapon. It's a local, national ba inyo? This one is a local show, a local food show that features local cuisines around Cagayan de Oro and Mindanao, local restaurants. So I noticed that compared to when I vlog, na it's just me. I'm very fast when I vlog because, okay, ako raman. So if I make a mistake, I just do it again. But when it's a show na, if there's one person who makes a mistake, everybody has to redo the entire scene.
That's so
So uh,
true. That's so
so
true.
on our first taping, I was like, this is so time consuming.
It
But
is
it gets
very.
better. It gets better, especially since my co-host is also very good, and we were able to like synergize very quickly. So we're faster now compared to our first date. But anyway, so you joined the final pitch, which I watched on TV, but then I watched the rest of the show on YouTube. So it's on YouTube, guys, for those who want to watch the final pitch real estate edition.
Yeah,
So
we're season 5.
tell me about the final pitch. How were you able to be on the show?
Okay. I think it had a lot to do with timing as well because at the time we were in Manila for the Idea Space program and it was already towards the end of the Idea Space program and it just so happened that the final pitch was already looking for casting call parang ganun. And then people were telling us, hey, you guys join this because it's a real estate edition. And given that it was a real estate edition and I felt that it fits so well with our startup. So we sent the application and they told us, hey, can you come by the studio on Saturday? And thankfully we were in Manila at the time and we would still be in Manila on Saturday. And so we went there and we gave our pitch. We pitched to the producer, John Aguilar. So he's also the host. And he said, okay, you guys are in. We're going to shoot by Tuesday. And we're like, oh,
Wow, congrats! That was fast.
yeah. And we did. We were thankfully also, we were still in Manila at the time. So we shot the initial episode, the first pitch on Tuesday.